The first all-civilian crew in history has made it to space. But as exciting as this is, given all our problems earthbound, is this really the time to send humans to space? The all-civilian crew spent 3 days in space, ferrying a number of science experiments to orbit, including research to learn more about the impact of spaceflight on the human body. This ushers in a new age of space accessibility, even space tourism. But is it worth all the resources and carbon footprint allocated to it? Hello, science fans! My name is Chana. I'm your resident Filipino scientist, and welcome to episode 27 of SHE-ensya's Corner. As a 35-year-old kid, I've always wanted to be an astronaut. Space is the final frontier. And so, I can't help but be excited about the renewed interest and progress made in space technology. And recently, we've had several private flights to space, all funded by billionaires. But Inspiration4 is a little different, because this time, they also sought to raise $200 million for the St. Jude Children's Hospital, and it also included a crew of diverse values. For example, the pilot of the mission was Sian Proctor, a geoscientist and 4-time analog astronaut. She was selected in one of 2 Inspiration4 contests, and she's also the first Black woman to serve in her role in outer space. Proctor is definitely an inspiration to girls and women of color. But the 51-year-old geoscientist also stands to inspire older women. Because sometimes when we think that the best of our lives have passed us by, her experience shows us that we can still learn more, grow more, and experience more. Also on board was Haley Arsenault, a physician assistant at St. Jude who was successfully treated for cancer at the facility nearly 20 years ago. Arsenault is the first person with a prosthesis to fly in space, after being personally invited by the funder to join the Inspiration4 crew. When asked about the impact of her disability, Arsenault maintains that her difficulties in life didn't separate her from others. It's inspiring that she hopes that her story would remind people that there will be better days. And despite the sufferings that we're going through, we can still achieve our dreams in the future. Having these diverse and inspirational people on board makes Inspiration4 distinct from the 2 other space flights carrying billionaires to space fairly recently. And unlike the trips taken by Bezos or Branson, this crew trained for longer, went higher, and stayed longer compared to the Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic missions. So this is a unique and major milestone for SpaceX, the largest and most profitable launch company in the world. But that's the bottom line. All 3 companies, SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic, want to make space travel cheaper so it can be profitable. And so, it can also be accessible to millions of people. Even this year, SpaceX will be conducting more crewed missions, though none with an all-civilian crew. A Falcon 9 will be ferrying astronauts to the International Space Station later this year. And early next year, we will have the first commercial action flight, also to the International Space Station. But after all of these things, have we even asked if we really need to go to space? What benefits will flow from all of these efforts to send humans further into space? The past 5 decades have taught a clear lesson about how best to explore the cosmos. People venturing into space are fragile. We need a continuous supply of oxygen, food, water, and shelter. We must also endure long intervals of weightlessness and ensure our physical capabilities are maintained through training. And when space missions fail, fatally as they do, would the lives lost be worth the joy of the would-be exploration? Because in contrast, automated spacecraft require only a power supply, which the sun can eventually provide. They also cost far less than humans do, and we know how to improve them every year. And if they fail, we lose only money and scientific results. So maybe we should stop pretending that going into space is something practical. As if sending humans to a dark, cold, dangerous void in order to repair some instruments is infinitely better than sending a machine that will not be endangered in the first place. So why should we dedicate so much resources to go to space? Well, some would say that sending humans to space would add glory to our lives. Almost everyone naturally responds to heroic accomplishments, and many of us would regard space exploration as a paramount achievement of our species. But beyond the abstract concept of heroism, some of us are eager to go into space because it could provide a potential refuge from a future debilitated Earth, while others are very much interested in exploiting resources from nearby solar systems. Shortly before his death in 2018, Stephen Hawking stated that spreading out may be the only thing that saves us from ourselves. He was convinced that humans needed to leave Earth eventually. But when you think about it, isn't it just a little bit too optimistic to believe that we can learn from the mistakes we made on Earth and not repeat them when we finally go to outer space? Because if we can't solve humanity's problem on our home planet, is it likely for us to be able to do so by colonizing other planets? Of course, beyond the option of escaping, space provides opportunities for growth by providing fresh resources. But should we embark on these missions lightly? Because whatever we do, we might not be able to repair in the future. Imagine, wherever we land, we inevitably leave behind traces of our own forms of life. Even NASA has worried about this problem ever since they sent out their first lunar probes. They've been very careful about biological contamination, but even they are fully aware that this cannot be guaranteed. Of course, I might be getting ahead of myself. Should these reasons stop us from expanding our horizons and creating new technology that may prove to be life-saving? My knowledge is far too limited to give a concrete answer. But to be honest with you, the thought of going to space excites me. If I was given the chance to hop on a rocket ship and go into space, I would take it without a single doubt. So, why ask if it's worth it? Because good science is always guided by a healthy dose of skepticism. Questioning our purpose, the validity of our techniques and research design, and asking if it's worth it help us make better decisions. The impact of what we do is often larger and wider than what we initially thought. And tampering with space? Well, it could have a universal reach. So what do you think? Is it time for us to go to space? Are you excited to explore the galaxies? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And to get a daily dose of science goodness, please follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. Follow me also at shona.abeledo. Thank you so much for joining us in this episode of SHE-ensya, and I hope to see you around!